The DPOY race obviously has become wide freaking open ever since Victor Wembanyama was ruled out for the season with deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder. And this is kind of, there's been a lot of different takes and everything regarding like who should win. And obviously we know like guys like Dyson Daniels and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Evan Mobley have been names that have been thrown around as players that should win. And obviously we know the Golden State Warriors have been playing really well since they got Jimmy Butler, everything of that nature. And of course, because of the Warriors, they're going to get talked about all the time by ESPN because they're one of the 2 or 3 teams they always talk about every day. And I can't find the tweet, I was looking for it, but if I do, I'll put it on the screen right now. We saw a tweet after one of the Warriors games that Kendrick Perkins said Draymond Green is getting my vote for Defensive Player of the Year. And remember when you asked me a few weeks ago, Gio, how much pull Kendrick Perkins has when it comes to votes? Well, we'll put another tweet on the screen right now from shout out Kenny Beecham, king of the fourth quarter. On FanDuel Sportsbook, Draymond Green is the overwhelming favorite right now in the odds to win Defensive Player of the Year at minus 470.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So Kendrick says one thing, and everyone hops on the bandwagon? Like, what is this?
I don't know, bro.
Is it wait, so let me ask you.
Yeah.
Is it Kendrick Perkins' influence, or is Kendrick Perkins actually seeing what's being done and accurately saying what's being played out in the basketball games?
Based on what he said about the 2023 MVP race, it definitely is the first option.
So it's just his influence.
I think it's just his influence, yeah.
Wow.
Because tell me this, like, tell me why. Like, just listen to the odds, right? Because obviously Draymond's minus 470. Evan Mobley plus 360. Lou Dort plus 1,000. Dyson Daniels is plus 7,500.
Yeah.
And then Jaren Jackson Jr. is plus 9,500.
That's insane.
Yeah, also, like, I was just on FanDuel. Like, the MVP odds are not close at all. SGA is a minus 10,000, and Jokic is a plus 1,500.
Yeah,
So they're not even giving Jokic, like, a close odds.
Remember, Stephen A. made up his mind a month ago. He made up his mind at the start of the season that he wasn't going to vote Jokic. And because all these big-time media people have this influence, they're going to follow suit. Obviously, had Jokic not won an MVP prior to this, he would have ran away with it. But because he's already won 3 of them, should have been 4, he's going to get the short end of the stick. And ironically, his 2 best seasons, he's not going to win MVP.
Interesting.
Which is kind of crazy. But it's just crazy, man. Dyson Daniels is by far the best defender on this list, and he's probably never going to be a finalist.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Look, I'm not a fan of Draymond Green at all. I mean, but Dyson Daniels, he's the kind of guy that's going to be flashy on the defensive side. He's going to pick your pocket. He's going to take it in transition and slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
Draymond Green does a lot of the things that you don't really see unless you really know the game. You know what I'm saying? Like he's making sure he's calling out mismatches ahead of time.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like he's that type of guy that's seeing the court, making sure his guys are in position to be most successful on the defensive side of the ball. Like,
right.
So what do you think about that?
Well, remember the first month of the season, I thought he was the DPOY because they were sacrificing his rebounding numbers so we can get back on defense in transition. But like Dyson Daniels historically is having the best defensive like point of attack wise. He's got like the most steals and most deflections like in a very long time. Talking like decades. This hasn't happened. So
even with Lou Dort, he's having one of the best defensive seasons.
Yeah, he's very good.
And he's, plus 1,000. That's so much higher than Dyson. Like that's the problem.
Well, it's because he plays for a good team. And the thing is, Dyson Daniels doesn't have good defenders around him. Lou Dort's got J-Dub. He's got SGA. He's got Alex Caruso. He's got Kenrich Williams. Draymond, obviously.
Chet.
Chet. Draymond's obviously got Jimmy Butler around him. And he doesn't have as many good defenders, but Dyson Daniels, Trae Young's one of the worst defenders in the NBA. Yeah. Like, he's always going to be on the court. Clint Capella's pretty much lost all his defensive capabilities. Reece Shay's okay. I think just based off the limit, even like Jaren Jackson, he's got Zach Edey. He's got a 7'5" tower. I think Dyson Daniels is getting the short end of the stick here.
Yeah.
Especially because Marcus Smart was the first guard to win DPOY in a very long time. And I think Dyson Daniels should be heavily considered for this.
Yeah, man, I'd have to agree with that. Make a good case, strong case.
On a side note, because we were talking about ESPN Kendrick Perkins, but Jay Williams was on a Pat McAfee show. I think on when was I home last week? When was the day was I home? Oh, Friday. When I came home from when we were doing our stuff, all of us.
Yeah.
And Jay Will was on Pat McAfee because he's on 12 to 3. So I think one of his friends and co-hosts, his name's Ty, who I think is short for Tyler, but he was asking Jay Will. He's like, Jay Will, he's like right now, he's like, what's going on with the media with, not pushing the OKC narrative with everybody being great in the West? Why are you guys always bringing it back to LeBron, Golden State, New York? He's like, why is this a thing? Why is this a media stigma? And literally the first words out of Jay Will's mouth is that LeBron pays the bills.
Ooh.
That was Stephen A. said? Or is that what Jay Will said? Oh, Jay Will said
he
that.
He said
Okay,
LeBron pays the bills.
Pays the bills for
ESPN.
No, and for
I see what you're saying.
The hosts.
Right.
He said LeBron and Golden State and New York pay the bills for not only the hosts but for ESPN.
Yeah.
That is why it always goes back to them.
It's the truth. Because remember when I said a couple weeks ago when Michael Jordan was rude to my mom? What he said to her was true, and she would admit it. He said, "I am the NBA." Without Michael Jordan, the NBA probably would have went under. And it's just a harsh reality. But like the thing is, I understand the gravity of LeBron and Steph and the Lakers and the Knicks and everything like that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're too focused on the present, and you're always going to be focused on the past moving forward now. Because when those guys are gone and retired, what are you going to talk about?
Yeah, that was my counterpoint.
What's the plan here? Because you have plenty of guys in the league right now that are worthy of talking about, and either the people at ESPN don't like them, or they're using these other players to shit on the players they don't like, purely for that reason.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
You ever wash the dishes and like after you're done, you don't squeeze out the sponge all the way?
Yeah,
and then you let it sit there, and then the next day it smells like mildew. That's what the NBA is doing. They're getting the most out of it. They're squeezing out all the water out of this. They're trying to get the most out of all these players that are still here. Because if they don't get the most out of that, what are they doing?
Exactly.
They're neglecting the all-stars and the superstars that carried them all this way. Right. Why would they do that? This is a counterpoint. Right. Why would they neglect the players that brought them all the way here? You know what I mean? What do you think?
Look, I definitely can see it, but it's bad. It's bad television because it's monotonous. You're talking about the same thing every day, and it's going to wind up hurting other areas for bad marketing. Right? Like we just saw Alex Ovechkin break the Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it on ESPN on First Take. What was better, his or LeBron's? Like why? Like LeBron didn't even need to be mentioned in this.
Yeah.
It's bad enough that the NHL is not marketed as well as it should be.
You can't compare that.
It's bad enough the MLB cut ties with ESPN because they weren't talking about them enough.
Yes.
And I think we'll close this with 2 tweets from Jay Williams since we're on the topic, and we'll put them on the screen right now. The first thing he tweeted was on April 1st. He said, "Let's not talk about the Lakers for a minute. News in the NBA that's worth your attention. The Celtics have won 9 in a row in 14 of their last 15 games. Last night, 30 assists on 39 made field goals. It's April 1st, and OKC has only lost 12 games and may have a 70-win season, which they won't obviously now, but at the time they could have. Detroit is on a historic run and are ahead of the Bucks in 5th place in the East. Is Ja Morant really on an audition when Memphis 5th place in the West? The Suns' best trade asset's Kevin Durant, who's injured right now. What's the move? Phoenix. What's next for the Sixers and Daryl Morey? Are the Rockets too young? And does anyone believe Cleveland and everything like that? Can they beat Boston?" That was one thing he tweeted. And the next thing he tweeted was even more telling about the MVP race regarding Nikola Jokic. He said the truth about Nikola Jokic. If LeBron or Steph dropped 61, 10, and 10 in a game at this time this year, we'd shut down the internet and ESPN would talk about it for 2 days straight.
Yeah.
But when Jokic does it, it's just another night. Why? Because he doesn't look the part, he's not flashy, not loud, but make no mistake, skill for skill, he's already outpacing Shaq, Hakeem, even Kareem. We're just afraid to say it. Jokic isn't just the best player in the world. He's quietly building one of the best one of the greatest legacies we've ever seen, and media is still acting like it's a fluke.
This is Jay Will.
Jay Will.
Wow.
Tell me how on first take. I want you to give me an honest answer. Just try and figure out an answer for this. Tell me how on ESPN that both Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith claim that Nikola Jokic is a top 20 player of all time, yet they never think he deserves an MVP.
Maybe I guess it's voter fatigue. Maybe they're just tired of voting for him.
But they've never voted for him, not once.
I mean, this is what happened to LeBron James, though. But he should have won 2 more MVPs. He didn't because of voter fatigue.
But they have voted LeBron in the past. They never voted Jokic once, not even in 2021.
But I don't care about them specifically. I care that he got the MVP.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm being honest, it's a race thing.
You think so?
100%.
What do you think, Tyler?
It's
a race.
It's a sad truth, but with those two specifically, it is.
Right.
You know.
All right. So if it's a race, we'd have to look at all the voters. Now, if all the voters, let's say they were African American or black skin color, then it might be a race issue. Right?
I don't think the MVP thing is a race issue.
Right.
I think it's Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins specifically.
Right. And you're saying that they have influence.
Right, because there's obviously other issues I have regarding this topic, like when Chris Broussard voted SGA last year because he didn't think Jokic deserved 3 MVPs because Jordan only got 4 or 3 or Shaq only had 1 or Kobe only had 1. Like he's bringing up historical precedents instead of just looking at this season. He gave a reason, but Kendrick Perkins trying to point out that he tried to indirectly state in 2023 that all MVP voters are racist. And the fact that ESPN had to make a statement the next day on first take, that's what I'm trying to get at.
I see what you're saying.
Trying to bend the rules to make it seem like it was white privilege.
Right.
When he said that Nash, Dirk, and Jokic were the only 3 MVPs that weren't top 10 in scoring when they were all tied for 10th. And the year prior, in 1989, Magic Johnson was like 12th or 13th in scoring and won the MVP.
Right. Yeah, that's wrong. I'll say that outright. That's just outright wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what if you had have they ever voted for a white player for MVP? Stephen A. or Kendrick Perkins?
I honestly, honest to God, I have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah, no.
Based off of this decade specifically, they've only voted for Embiid, Giannis, and SGA.
Right.
Like Stephen A. wouldn't even credit Luka when he dropped 73 points. If that's not telling enough, I don't know what is.
That's a good point.
Like when Kat dropped 60 and when Embiid dropped 70, he was over the moon about it. But when Luka dropped 73, he was criticizing the Hawks defense. So,
yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know,
You gotta
man.
look deeper on this.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, man?
I don't know, bro. Like like I said, most voters have genuine basketball reasons as to why they believe XYZ should win MVP.
Right.
I thought Nick Wright's case for Luka last year was decently warranted, but like when you're trying to compare Luka last season to Jokic this season, where they're kind of in the same standing pattern. I think Nick Wright forgot that SGA was also in the race last year and finished first in the West. Like SGA had a much better case than Luka. So that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Yeah, I get where you guys are coming from.
Yeah.